Hi, I'm Dr. Ryan Krupp, Executive Medical Director of Orthopedics and the Director of Sports Health and Shoulder Reconstruction for Norton Healthcare. And I want to thank you for being with us for this program. We've done this for several years now, and it's really directed at overhead athletes and throwers in particular, really trying to give people a way to off-season train, make sure that we're performing at the peak level, but also to prevent injury, and to make sure if you have an injury, we have a pathway for you to get back in the game. One of the things here at Norton Sports Performance that's very unique is that not only from the medical side with the Norton Orthopedic Institute, myself and my team, if you have an injury, we can get you back in the game. But we also have KORT from a rehab standpoint, and Norton Sports Performance and the entire staff that we have here, the continuum of care beginning from injury prevention, wellness and performance, and then kind of the bridge programs so that if you do have an injury, we can get you treated, we can get you rehabilitated, and get you back on the progression back to the field of play. One of the things that our goal with this program is to give you some tools, things that you can do in the off season from a training perspective to make sure, one, you're maximizing your potential, but then two, making sure that you're going to be healthy, and then when spring rolls around, you're ready to be on the field of play and throughout the continuum of the season. I can't emphasize enough just how important these off-season training programs are and the continued exercises throughout the season. You know, we talk many times about injuries in athletes, and if you turn on the TV, I don't think it's any surprise to people that are around baseball, but Tommy John surgeries, we're at all-time high. Every team is affected by them. I don't care if you're at the major league level, the college level, or even in high school nowadays, as athletes are playing year-round. Athletes are throwing harder, competing at a higher level. One of the things that we all need to take into account are things like pitch counts, the level of an athlete as an age. As we progress, it's important that we work on mechanics, and I can't emphasize that enough. Many times, I watch, youngsters out on the mound or throwing, and it can be someone in the outfield, but they're using poor mechanics, and kids tend to stand upright. They don't tend to use their legs and their core, and it all starts here. People say, well, gosh, I injured my arm. There must be something wrong with my arm. But oftentimes, it's poor mechanics, and it's not developing all the support structure that drives the ship. And that's some of the tools and the exercises that we have some of our professional athletes and our college athletes here today demonstrating to make sure that you have the tools and the type of training that you can do to make sure you prevent injury. And once again, like I said, play at your best level. Pitch counts, I think, are another very important aspect, and we can provide information regarding that. But as we go through age, a good rule of thumb is 6 times your age should be a pretty good gauge of max number of pitches in an outing. So you say, well, if you're about 10 years old, 60 pitches should be a pretty good cap. Now, give or take a couple here or there, but if you stick to that rule, you're going to keep the athlete in a safe range. And then depending on how many pitches you have, you need to have an adequate rest day. And that doesn't matter, like I said, if you're at a major league level or all the way down through little league. People need to have adequate time to rest and recuperate, recover, and move forward. There's a huge increase in the potential for injury if you're throwing with fatigue, if you're going over those pitch counts, if you're throwing the wrong types of pitches too early in your development. One of the things that we see is people trying to introduce a number of pitches early on. Well, the problem is, if you haven't mastered the mechanics, you haven't mastered, changing speeds, position of pitches, and you start throwing additional levels of complexity to young athletes, they lose focus of those mechanics and those fundamentals, and now they're ripe for injury. And that's what we want to prevent. All of this is trying to keep the athlete in the game, achieving the highest level of play, but yet, once again, not suffering an injury.
I'm Josh Bixler here with KORT Sports Performance. I'm here with Logan today. As a physical therapist, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of baseball players. Unfortunately, if you're seeing me, you've often had an injury or surgery. Parents and athletes often ask, what are things that we could have done to prevent this? In some cases, really there was nothing. Maybe it was trauma or an accident that happened. But a lot of times there are risk factors that we know about that can lead to these issues. One of them could be doing too little for too long and then having a spike in activity, such as throwing. The other risk factors are often range of motion, so can the athlete get into the position that they need to throw the ball? The other part is, do they have the strength to do so? and we're going to walk you through a few of those today. Logan, if you'll go ahead and lay on your back here for me. One of the first things we're going to look at is, does the athlete have the shoulder range of motion they need to get into to throw the baseball? Oftentimes, doing a quick assessment of what we call the total range of motion and comparing that side to side will give us some insight into the motion that they need. Another test we'll look at is, do they have the flexibility on the backside of the shoulder? By pinning here and coming across, we can see if they do. We often need to look at the lower extremity as well. You can go ahead and straighten your legs out for me. With pitchers especially, we want to look at what we call lead leg internal rotation. So can the athlete internally rotate their thigh the way that we want them to? As an athlete, we don't want them spending too much time on the table. Other tests that we're going to look at include strength, stride length, as well as hopping ability. To look at strength, we'll use this device here. Place your elbow on your side here. Go ahead and push into me. I'll have the athlete push into this device, and it'll tell me what kind of force they're able to generate on their right side versus their left. This is helpful to figure out what types of exercises or how to structure their exercise program. Something else that we'll look at is going to be stride length. So can the athlete stride at least 2/3 of their height? If not, that can affect throwing performance. The last test is a lateral hop test to look at what kind of power the athlete can generate. You can stand on your right leg for me, and I want you to jump that way as far as you can to land on 2 legs. Like so. So we'll take those measurements and we'll look at it right versus left, and that's something that we can hang our hat on when we're going through all of our assessment. These things, in addition to having a solid off-season strength and conditioning program, can limit a lot of the injuries that we see with baseball players.
Hi, welcome everybody to the 2020 Norton Sports Performance Baseball, Softball Performance Workshop. Yes, that is us here at Norton Sports Performance. My name is Eric Hammer. I'm the Director of Performance for everything in this facility. Behind me, we've got some ex-athletes, we've got some current athletes, and we also have some professional athletes training with us. So the purpose of this workshop is to have a full understanding of what sports performance is, how it relates with sports medicine, and then overall, how does we tie everything into sports performance on the field. And what does that mean to keep you healthy, to keep you in shape all year round, whether you're playing, whether you're in off-season, and then how can we improve performance parameters such as increase your strength, your leg strength, your upper body strength, your overall lower body power, how fast you can run, how quick you can be, and kind of tie everything in together. So throughout this workshop, we're going to kind of go through some principles, some basic stuff. And we're going to introduce you to the way that we train here at Norton Sports Performance with our pro guys, with our high school, and with our college guys. Hey everybody, talk about facets of all parts of workouts. So we're going to start with a warm-up. And as you can see, our pro guys, our high school guys, and our college guys are just starting to warm up with their band work. So every day our guys come in, we're going to tackle some type of shoulder stability workout with bands, going through the different motions, external rotations, scaption, you name it. We're going to knock that out. Then we're also going to tie in core, hips, and glutes on a consistent basis. Again, there's no wrong or right way to do a warm-up besides increasing your internal temperature, trying to get things moving, activate, and get acclimated to exactly what we're going to do next in the workout. And our band exercises that we're doing, courtesy of crossover symmetry, we've got some slingshots on their knees, so forth, doing some basic hip extensions right now. We're just trying to get the glutes warmed up because we are going to go do our plyometrics next, which is the next step in our workout process. And again, this stuff is done every single day. These guys, right now with the early off-season phase that we're in, we're trying to tackle this multiple times in a warm-up. So like with our pro guys right now, we may have these guys doing 3 sets of crossover symmetry, 3 sets of band activation work. Right now, early off-season, as it progresses and as their throwing volume increases with off-season training, and they're starting to get up and ramp up into pens like Chad Green down there, or even Sturgeon who's trying to pitch to, we'll cut some of this stuff back just to kind of maximize the right work to rest ratio and overall throwing volume. So simple stuff, tying core work into the hips, also tying core work into the shoulders. We started into our power development. So we here at Norton Sports Performance really value the effect of a mid-ball throw and the different planes of motion we can get on that with aspects to putting foot into the ground, rotating the hips into the shoulders, into the core, and then ultimately pushing it out into the hands and producing force. So we have different series of med balls. We have different phases of our med balls. Everything starts with base stuff. So you saw Chad Green here. Throw the mid ball high against the wall overhead, step back to a simple hip toss where he's facing the wall, and then that rotational perpendicular hip throw. And then ultimately at the end, you saw him do a step back shot put, which advances every exercise that we can do by increasing a step, okay, increasing a jump, trying to figure out and find out ways to increase the overall intensity of the exercise in order to progress kids from step 1 to step 2. So here at Norton Sports Performance, we have different phases of med ball throwing. We have different series that we like to do with all of our athletes. Again, doesn't matter if you're a baseball, softball athlete. Every athlete from basketball to tennis to lacrosse utilizes our med ball throw series when they come train with us. Continuing with our power development within our workouts, we utilize our box jump progressions, and what you just saw was different regular box jumps. So we started on 2 feet, and the jump is considered 2 feet to 2 feet. So we start out with that, and how we intensify and how we make things harder and harder as the phase continues. So out of our 12-week phase, we might be able to get 3 progressions of different types of jumps in. So jumping from 2 feet to 1 foot. You saw them do rotational, you saw them do lateral jumping. We can change up any variable we want as we're trying to progress our intensity over the course of our 12-week phases. So box jumps we utilize a lot with our power development, especially with our baseball and our softball athletes as we're trying to increase their lower body power development and overall output. So when they swing, when they run, they're explosive. So box jumps are big for us here. And if it's a weight room day, we utilize them. On our speed and agility days, we have 10,000 square feet of our turf space to bound to do different types of sprints, jump combinations that, again, all focus on putting force into the ground and getting kids faster. All right, building a holistic program, building a program that builds upon things within itself on top of natures of warm-up to explosive training and lower body power development. Strength training is a huge component of that here. And at Norton Sports Performance, within our weight room confines of hex bar deadlifts, glute ham raises, row variations. Okay? We can utilize any rack we can for whatever exercise that we have programmed, whether it's week 1 of phase 1 or week 4 of phase 3 within a 12-week cycle. Okay? You saw kettlebell crawling, you saw walking, you saw all sorts of different core variations. Okay? And these are also just some of our basic modalities and exercise patterns that we do on a daily basis to get you better. So if you want to try to improve your home to first time, have better bat speed, run quicker to go get fly balls in the outfield, whatever the confound is that you think you need to work on, that's done here consistently Monday through Saturday with our workout program. All right, again, continuing the holistic model approach to an overall workout. Again, for the baseball, softball athlete, conditioning still plays a huge role in overall development. Again, somebody that is a little bit more fit and has more endurance, A, they're going to recover better, B, they're going to be able to run from home to second take a short break, and run from second to home with that next pitch. Okay. So modalities like the bike, you'll see Logan here do some bike sprints on it, okay? And that might be our Tuesday workout. That might be after a linear speed session. We might hit the bike for some straight ahead sprints. Okay. We also have sled modalities that we utilize. We have rowers. We have Versa climbers. All these things, slide boards, get put into our holistic approach in terms of energy system development and how we condition our baseball, softball athletes. Okay. Hey, Norton Sports Performance would like to thank our athletes that are helping us today with our performance workshop. So we want to thank our pros, we want to thank our high school guys, we want to thank our college athletes that all have trained with us, all trust us, and truly let them know that we appreciate them.
My name is Anderson Miller. I'm an outfielder with the Kansas City Royals. Hi, I'm Cole Sturgeon. I'm an outfield pitcher with the Boston Red Sox.
I'm Logan Beard, a freshman infielder at the University of Louisville.
Hi, I'm Eli Watson. I'm a senior outfielder at Providence High School.
What's going on? This is Chad Green. I'm a relief pitcher for the New York Yankees. I've been in the Louisville area for 4 years, and this has been my off-season home for that time. It's been an integral part in my routine in the off-season, and it's something that I recommend if you're in the Louisville area to check out.
I'm Josh Bixler, Clinic Director for KORT Sports Performance and Rehab, on-site here at Norton Sports Performance.
I'm Eric Hammer, Director of Performance here at Norton Sports Performance.
If you think you have an athlete that's just coming off surgery, injury, or just want looked at before we start this off-season programming, give us a call at 502-291-1950.
If you're interested in our winter program that starts on November 30th, or if you want to get your kids started sooner, okay, we're offering a free week, November 23rd. Call us at 409-8888.
So one of the unique aspects here at Norton Sports Performance is the continuum of care once again, from beginning to end, whether it's an injury that needs to be treated with Norton Orthopedic Institute and my team, whether that's getting back from a rehabilitation standpoint with Josh Bixler and the KORT folks here within the facility, the bridge from the rehabilitation to getting game ready, because that's one of the things that I see when an athlete's trying to get back from an injury or a surgery. There's a big difference between being kind of physical therapy ready and game ready. The dynamic movements, kind of bridging that gap. We've got a unique aspect here where you can be handed off from one to the other. And then sports performance and multiple programs that we have for the off-season training and in-season training. We're getting ready to do a 12-week focused program for getting ready for the spring for our overhead athletes. That'll start here at the end of November with a week kind of trial before that. You can find information of that on the Norton Sports Performance website. Feel free to come out and see what we have to offer here, meet the guys, meet the team. We're very fortunate to have a great group of folks to work with. My own son comes out here and really has done very well with the program. So please take some of the techniques, the drills, some of the exercises from this program, utilize these throughout the season and in the off season, and come out and see us at Norton Sports Performance.